Alright, so Sanjeev, 5 to 7 year horizon Godrej Frontier is a good buy. 5,700 rupees per square feet, but already run up a lot. The livability or social infrastructure of this area is a problem. So maybe you can extend your budget a little bit and look at other options in Gurgaon. Meanwhile, the country's top developers descended on the capital over the weekend to debate and deliberate new roadmap for the housing sector. This was inaugurated by the President of India. NDTV's annual convention saw policymakers from across states in attendance. Vasudha Sharma tells you what the big talking points were. Very warm welcome, sir.
A two-day brainstorming session where the country's top minds came together to thrash out ideas to meet the country's housing challenge. Real estate developers industry body NDTV hosted its 11th annual convention on sustainable housing for the masses. And the big agenda was to introspect and deliver the way forward. The 2011 census had reported that out of India's 1.2 billion population, 377 million were urban dwellers. And industry chamber FICCI has forecast that by 2050, this number will balloon to a massive 900 million. The country's top builders worry that given this outlook, India is not prepared to meet its promise of a home for every Indian.
The idea with this convention is that look forward for reforms, look forward for speedy approval, look forward for slum-free cities, and how do we create huge housing. Taxes is also one of the component, banking reforms are also.
NDTV is calling out for a complete overhaul of the country's housing regulations, which they claim are creating an artificial land shortage and escalating prices.
A viable business opportunity. All across India, we are sitting on an FAR of an average 2.5, which is 250% of the land mass you can construct. Across globally, we are sitting on an average of 7 to 10. So we are still monetizing our land by just 1/3. So if we are able to monetize our land to the maximum, we'll be able to bring cheaper housing.
NDTV points out that government-owned land parcels that are lying vacant or occupied by slums need to be optimally utilized. Approvals from multiple authorities need to be streamlined into a single window clearance. Archaic government laws, rising construction costs, lack of skilled manpower, financing constraints for low-income groups, and a disputable tax regime was stopping developers from venturing into low-income housing despite the huge demand.
It should not be left to a small officer sitting in his cabin to decide that what will be the control norms. Because control norms may be applicable from area to area, from requirement to requirement, from city to city.
90% of India's urban housing shortage corresponds to the low-income groups. But despite this challenging reality, builders remain firm that low-income housing is an unviable business for them at present. The 400 delegates at the National Convention stressed on the need for the government to incentivize low-income housing by subsidizing construction costs, removing taxes and duties on construction materials, subsidizing R&D, and lowering the cost of borrowing for affordable housing projects. But the government on its part is confident that its policies will be enough to spur developers into affordable housing.
Any household which has its own savings and which can avail bank loan up to 5 lakhs at 5% interest subsidy, housing is within their reach. So that's a big step which we are taking, and which I hope will generate enough demand and a big enough market for the developers to come up with projects.
That he is a man in a hurry is clearly...
While both sides seem gung-ho about bringing change, real change on the ground can only happen if both the developer and the policymaker join hands to work for inclusive growth. Vasudha Sharma, NDTV.
Alright, that's an NDTV event. Up next, how serious is Bengaluru's water problem, and do the real estate developers have a solution?